Mistakes. They've literally robbed billionaires of their statuses. They can be extremely costly and they can run you into the ground before you even get a chance to take off. So in today's video, I want to share with you 3 of the top mistakes that I made when starting my business online so that you can avoid them. Stay until the end. The first mistake I made was focusing on opportunity over skill. You know, I was fresh out of high school, I was a dropout. So naturally everything looked extremely exciting. You know, everything looked super shiny, and my number one goal was, how can I make enough money so that, you know, I don't have to work for somebody? How can I make enough money so that I'm financially free and I can do all the things that I want to be able to do and even help out my parents, right? So, you know, all these opportunities that I began to come across, like e-com, I was like, oh, a bunch of people are online, they're selling all these products and making a ridiculous amount of money. Maybe that's what I need to be doing, right? So I just kind of started my own e-com business, started pouring a bit of money into all these softwares and monthly subscriptions and hoping that it would work, right? And it never really worked out. Sold a couple items, but barely broke even. Second one was Forex. And, you know, I actually did make some good money with this, but I equally lost a ridiculous amount of money with this, and it just looked super shiny, and I was just focusing on opportunity, right? Just constantly chasing the next best thing. And I feel like a lot of people, when they do start out their online business, there's all these opportunities left, right, and center where the grass looks greener. It always looks greener until you go there, right? So for me, like when it really kicked in, like I started affiliate marketing, I started trying to grow my own agency, and there was never one like clear path. I was too busy focusing on chasing all these different opportunities. And where I really had my first breakthrough was when I stopped focusing on opportunity and started to listen to successful people, because all of them said, learn a skill, learn a skill, learn a skill, until it kind of became drilled into my head. And I was like, all right, cool, maybe I do need to learn a skill. And it was a longer process. It wasn't as fun and exciting as jumping from opportunity to opportunity. You know, there was a lot of learning involved. There was a lot of, you know, daily repetitive tasks which didn't seem exciting or interesting, but that's what really began to pay off. Like a lot of people will tell you exciting stuff works out, but it's usually the boring, like day-to-day repetitive tasks that get you a result. So when I started to, you know, put all that stuff to the side and started to learn how to sell, right, I would go into other people's businesses and ask them, you know, I can close leads for you, right? And I used to just be on the phone every day, like tally marks on a freaking notepad. I've spoken to 100 people and no one's bought. But I remember like 3 weeks into it, I had one person that spent like a couple $100, okay? And that's when I realized that my skills really started to pay off. So number 1, focus on learning a skill over opportunity any day of the week. The second mistake I made, and I see a lot of people make, is poor money management. Okay, look at money as your ammunition, and you know, you got guns all around you. If you run out of bullets, then you're pretty much okay, so you need to always load up your ammunition, you know, really build it up and invest it into the right places. You know, when I first started making a bunch of money, even just a little bit, I would never ever save that money. I'd just blow it, right? Like I remember this one day, it was cold outside and I was a little bit colder than usual, so I just walked into a store and just purchased a coat, right? And it was one of the dumbest things I ever did, because the coat was like £200 and that's all I had in my bank account at the time. So, you know, the second most important skill that I've learned, and I say a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad really helped me understand the mechanics of making money. It's save 80% of everything that you make and just become really disciplined at living off 20%. Because when you begin to do that, what really tends to happen is you kind of force yourself to go into survival mode and make more money, right? Like when I would put certain money away, if I couldn't do it myself, I would give it to somebody that I trust, and then I'd look at my bank account and I know what I can do and what I can't do. So naturally my brain's like switched from how can I spend to how can I make more? Like what can I do today? What can I do this week to start making a bunch more money so that I can save it, build up like my war chest, and be able to use that money to fund different opportunities, whether it's new businesses, whether it's new equipment, right, that I can use in my business, or even just learning, right, like going to events or networking or meeting the right people. So I'd say the second mistake that I made when starting my own online business was poor money management, you know, not saving that money to the side to use it for where it really counts versus where it doesn't count. I would say the third biggest mistake that I made, and this was probably the most costly because it got me into a lot of trouble, is not investing into working with someone one-on-one or learning from someone very experienced who was where I wanted to be. And these two kind of go hand in hand, so this could kind of be a bonus one, but it's not investing enough into my environment. So when I first started wanting to build a business, you know, I had huge aspirations, I still do, okay? You gotta stay hungry. But nonetheless, like, one of the most important things for me was to make $1 million, to be able to grow a multi-million-pound business, multi-million-dollar business, you know, like really be able to excel and do things that I wanted to do, you know, buy my first car in a certain kind of way, live a certain kind of lifestyle, travel, you know, once every 1 or 2 months and so on and so forth, and live a very like freedom fulfilled lifestyle. But the environment I was hanging around in didn't complement a lot of those ideas. So, you know, where I would be thinking this big, my environment around me would be thinking like down here, right? And even like the words that certain people say around you, like the negativity or not believing that it's possible, or saying, oh, well, that guy's rich, so he has this, or that guy's this, so he has that. You know, I was kind of stuck in that environment, and it was really stunting my growth for the first 2 years of building my business. A lot of the opportunities that I would chase, you know, I kind of felt like I was fighting an uphill battle to achieve those things because the environment didn't support it. But it's like, you know, if you plant like a freaking seed in a dark room, right, you could water it every day, but it's gonna have a harder time growing because it's not in the right environment, right? Versus, you know, putting it in the heat, directly in the sunlight, in moist, like rich soil, and watering it every day. There's gonna be a huge difference in how the second one grows versus how the first one grows from the dark room. And that's what it kind of felt like for me in my environment. And when I started surrounding myself with people who are also go-getters, you know, had a certain natural standard that was this high, it made me want to perform at a certain type of level, and it kind of motivated me because that was the basic standard to perform at, and anything less than that is kind of frowned upon, right? And nowadays, anything or anywhere that I can go to chase a new environment, to grow, I will do, right? So another example of that is even in my personal gym life. Like, I used to train at a regular gym, like Pure Gym, right? No disrespect to Pure Gym, there's some, you know, very, very physically athletic, you know, well-built people in that gym, but the general environment was very like, you know, people who are unserious. They text more than they actually work out. You know, they're talking and standing and doing a bunch of, you know, BS. But when I went to like a bodybuilder's gym, like, I'm seeing everybody push themselves to a certain level, right? And that's a normal level for these guys. And I felt the same in business. You know, you'll meet some people who think making 10K a month is like a dream, right? And you'll meet other people, like in my own experience, where people think making anything less than 50K a month is a joke, right? And it really gets you to kind of reevaluate your perspective, reevaluate your standards, aim higher, and change what you're doing with your time to achieve a certain level. And I would say for me, you know, going back, one of the biggest mistakes I made was not having that environment, and finally, you know, not learning from someone experienced. Because, you know, I remember when I first met, you know, my business partner, he was light years ahead of me, right? And I kind of had to have an honest conversation and explain to him that in all this time that I've been working on building my business, everything that I had in my bank account, and just kind of admitting that to someone really lifted a huge weight off my shoulders, because it made me realize, look, I can confide in someone more experienced. They've been in my shoes. It's not, you know, bad to be where I'm at as long as I can work my way out of it, right? Because my life sucked back then. But having someone that could tell me, all right, well, because you're at X amount of money and you don't feel like you're doing this and you don't feel like you're doing this, here's what you need to do different. And it kind of gave me some direction to get back on track, right? So those are the key 3 mistakes that I probably made as a beginner, that if I could just go back and tell myself when I was starting my business online, you know, fix these 3 things. You know, focus on the skill sets over opportunity, you know, fix that thing, right? Number 2 is, you know, manage your money correctly. Build that war chest that's going to allow you to invest, outsource, you know, do the things that business owners need to grow a lot more faster. And finally, number 3 is investing into learning from someone who had that better experience, and invest into your environment. And I would say the first bit of my success, and even till today, it continues to pay off, like learning and understanding these key 3 concepts. So if you got some good value from this video, if you related to anything I shared with you today, and if you want to see more content like this, how to avoid more mistakes, how to grow and add value to your business, smash that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications.